Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I gotta be honest, this movie was not good.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Contamination, which released in 1980 from writers Luigi Cozzi and Eric Tomek, and directed by Luigi Cozzi. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, a ship has just pulled into the harbour of New York City and the crew are not answering any hails. When Lieutenant Tony Harris lands aboard with his crew, he comes across what look to be, but are not, eggs in the hold of the ship. The eggs explode as they get warm and mature, and when the goo touches anything living, they will explode. Lieutenant Tony and Colonel Stella Holmes are investigating where these eggs came from, and as they find the evidence they came from a coffee factory in another part of the country, they realize that actually they may have come from another planet with two astronauts bringing them back.
They look like big green eggs to me.
Doc, there's one over there. Look,
Where?
under the pipes.
So this is a grindhouse, exploitation, B-movie, video nasty.
Really?
It was one of the 70 plus videos that was banned for being too gruesome and horrible. And funny thing is that the film is now no longer banned, no longer an 18 rating, but now a 15 certificate.
I'd say it's more low budget. Like,
Well, yeah,
low budget.
Well, the funny thing is, the director even said that some of the funding from this film came from some pretty high-profile drug dealers.
Right.
Financed the film. And apparently they were quite happy with their return as well.
I'm surprised Carrie Fisher didn't try to get on board this.
Well, I mean, this director was known for, well, ripping off and exploiting other mainstream films.
Mm-hmm.
Just prior to this, he had done Star Crash in 1978, which is, a Star Wars, rip.
Yeah.
But then from this, he would go on to do Hercules in 1983 with Lou Ferrigno and Sybil Danning.
Oh, never seen it.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, this film as well, Contamination, was pretty much pitched as a sequel to Ridley Scott's Alien, but now the alien has come to Earth. Alien Earth! Here we go!
The goo's on the earth already!
But yeah, this went to grindhouse theaters in America, kind of did fairly well and then mostly disappeared. And I only ever really caught wind of this film in grindhouse like magazines or books or anything else. We never actually managed to get hold of a copy until, well, recently.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this movie. I think I saw the poster a couple of months ago and I was like, hey, Gary, it's from 1980. It looks funky. And I should have just told myself that was a really bad sign as soon as I said that. But I'm having a real issue with Italian horrors, ladies and gentlemen. Like,
Hey, that's from my book.
like I know we try, but there are just, I think you have maybe your top 5, maybe a top 10 Italian horrors from the 1970s, 80s, you know, that people are like, oh, those are good. And that's it. That's the line, okay? It's not like there are hundreds. And if you're going to sit there and in the comment section and say, oh, Iain, you're wrong, give me that list and how many of them have actually gone off and done really, really well. Like, really, really well. Not like Contamination level well. Because, yeah, no. This movie's not good. I mean, let's get it out of the way right off the bat. The music by Goblin.
Oh, wait a minute. The film says The Goblin.
The Goblin, sorry. The music done by The Goblin, who also did the music for The Dawn of the Dead, 1978. Absolutely ruined this movie.
It's just like the other two. Harris was right. This wasn't caused by any virus, that's for damn sure. What the hell could it have been then? I mean... Yeah, down below. Man, it's really weird. It looks like they blew up or something.
I might be in agreement with you as well. The music did this film no favors.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to badmouth these guys. I'm sure they were really good. It's just whoever edited the music into the movie just would ruin scenes and they would be too loud or too horrible or mismatched. And especially with that goddamn sound that comes from the eggs.
Oh yeah, you're going to hear this almost from the start right through to the end of the film, and even when you've turned the film off, you're like, I can still hear it.
It's in the room with me. But like we said, we have Marino Masé playing Lieutenant Tony Harris, who is in a helicopter, I believe, and there's this ship heading into New York Harbor, and they've lost all contact with it. So, because it's coming in at such a speed, they want to get aboard and they want to turn the engines off. And so they do. They get aboard and they start investigating it. And I started getting into this. You know, it started setting the atmosphere quite well.
Yeah, they send in like the B-movie hazmat team. They're basically just wearing these white overalls.
Well, it's because the doctor says to Tony, before they go aboard, there's this really stinky, rotten smell aboard. It's really horrible, really quite toxic. So they've got to get this white gear on. Yeah. But they start walking around the ship. And, it's quite cool. It's close quarters, guerrilla style kind of camera work. It's literally just a cameraman following the actors and the actors ad-libbing. And they start coming across bodies of the crew.
They find the first one sort of hiding in a cabinet. His body falls out and scares them.
Oh, it's the captain. How do you know? Well, because look at his uniform. Yeah, but his uniform's all ripped. What could have caused that damage? I'm thinking, there's some kind of fucking big creature running around causing damage. No, we're not going to be that lucky.
But look at the way his skin and clothes are torn. It's almost as if, it's almost as if he exploded.
Exploded?
Yeah, but not because of a bomb. It's more like he exploded from inside. Look at his stomach and his chest. It's as if some force inside just let loose.
Yeah, let's search the rest of the boat. Come on.
They start moving their way down to the hold of the ship. And they get informed that there's like a green goo running up to this door, and they come across other cabin crew members or crew members who have kind of partially been ripped apart. Parts of them have exploded off. What kind of damage is like he's been turned inside out at one point?
Yeah, one of them's just like, no, it looks like something burst out of him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here we go with the alien. Yeah. But eventually they do find a room filled with coffee boxes.
Yeah.
But that ain't no coffee.
No.
We got these green egg-looking things.
But not eggs.
But they're not eggs, but they look like eggs at the moment.
Yes, but
and
not
one
eggs.
of them is by a pipe and it's pulsating. Well, I don't know. We should definitely pick that up and shove it in our faces and see what happens.
Now, I'm not going to shit on this movie like I have done in the past, but when you have a shot like this that I'm showing you where it kind of looks like the cameraman is way too close and what appears to be the director just to the side in shadow, and you're watching the guy pick up the egg really, really slowly. Like, I kind of got it after, is that they have an effect where the egg explodes. And when the egg explodes, the goo inside touches anybody and then they explode. Okay? But it's 1980s. You haven't got much budget. And so when you want something to explode, you literally have one shot and it's done, right?
Yeah.
So every exploding shot has to be done in slow motion to elongate the one shot that they've got.
And it's the only real kind of gore effect that this film has to offer. So you're just going to see it in slow motion and multiple times.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we watch all three of them eventually. They rub it in their faces and then they hold their stomach. Some of them balloon up and then they explode in chunks. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm fine with this, even though when you watch it in slow motion, you can see the patchwork. You know exactly where the seams are going to tear.
Yeah.
And all of the bladders that explode, and there's red stuff everywhere. And the fact that they're wearing white, so the red kind of mixes in really well. It's like, okay, that's cool, but okay. And then one of them was unaffected, didn't get touched by the exploding gunk.
The lieutenant gets off the ship. He alerts the army, I'm assuming, some special forces unit. And that's where we get introduced to Louise Marleau playing Colonel Stella Holmes. And I believe the mustache guy that's walking around with her all the time, that I don't believe we get told his name at once. No. I believe that's Agent Young, because I was looking at the Wikipedia list and he's the only other agent I know.
Yeah, he's basically just there for a few scenes and then disappears at the halfway mark, never to return.
Yeah, but he does have that big shootout sequence where he kind of runs around on the screen firing. And I was like, well, he must be like a main character. Like, look how badass he is. No, but they've captured Lieutenant Tony and they've taken off all of his clothes and they've locked him in this room. And they're questioning him what's going on. And he tells them about the ship and he tells them about the eggs. And so the colonel's just like, okay, we need to go and investigate this. And they decide, she decides actually that the best thing to do is to freeze everything on board the ship, doesn't she?
Yeah. But I was really distracted with the sequence because I was too busy looking at the extras.
The guy with the toggles.
Yeah! Because I'm like, what are you doing, mate? So did I. What are you doing? Like, this room is so sterile, and it is so, like, the most basic of sci-fi sets that it feels like it's completely disconnected from the boat, which was very real looking, to this set, which is just this one station and then this one glass, like, containment room.
Yeah.
And this one guy just turning knobs and twisting dials. But what was he doing? Like, there's no readouts on those machines.
He's adding flavor to the scene, Gary.
Well, he stole the scene. He was the best part.
He was. Like, I gotta give it to Louise Marleau as the colonel. Like she really tries to hold her own in this movie. I felt like she was an early Ripley character. Like if the director had gone off and watched Alien and saw Sigourney Weaver, he's like, oh, I need somebody to be as strong-willed as her. But then you have, like we said, the guy playing Lieutenant Tony Aris, and you've got the guy who will play Ian Hubard, Iain McCulloch coming in later, that these two guys then become the forefront of the movie, and she kind of gets pushed to the back as the damsel in distress.
You do nothing, Hubbard, because you're incapable of doing anything. You're too soft. You're half a man.
That's just so that we understand one another.
But they start investigating it, and they get one of the eggs into the lab, don't they?
Yeah.
And the scientist there, this is where the scientist says, they look like eggs, but it's not an egg.
This is not an egg, but an intensive culture of unknown bacteria. Pathogenous perhaps, but definitely deadly. As you can see, I am extracting a sample of the substance from the interior of the egg.
And then proceeds to call it an egg for the entirety of the rest of the movie.
Yeah, she's like, it's basically just a clumped collection of bacterial,
Yeah, it's like toxic waste stuff.
Pretty much, yeah, in egg form.
And she's like, the yolk of the non-eggs.
It doesn't make sense anymore, Ian.
Mate, it didn't make any sense when I hit play that I was watching this. You know how I am with these movies, but...
Well, let's inject some into a rat, shall we, and see what happens.
I honestly think they actually injected that rat, because it was screaming. I was like, you don't need to actually inject it.
You could tell it was a rubber fucking needle.
And then we watch the rat explode in its cage.
In slow motion, of course.
It had to be in slow motion.
I mean, I gave it 10 points. It did like 3 laps around that thing.
I was like, holy shit, that's pretty fucking nasty shit. But they get informed that they found the warehouse where the coffee beans were going to, or they found the people that were going to pick up the coffee beans, so they follow them to this warehouse. And when she turns to Captain De Silva, another extra who literally just steals the scene. Colonel Holmes goes, hey, De Silva, go up to the door, and he's like, yes, ma'am. And there's all these armed guards outside the fucking warehouse, and he runs up to the door, and he knocks on the door, and the slider opens. The guy's like, hey, what do you want? And the silver's like, open up. And he's like, okay, I will. And he shoots the silver right in the face.
Wow. Well, that is an echo.
I did. He's running up to the door on his own. I'm like, they have to kill somebody in the next 5 minutes or they're fucking losing me.
Well, I mean, they might lose you anyway because they do breach in there. There's a couple of shots fired, and then we've got 3 of the warehouse guards sort of looking at these eggs and looking at our characters, and then they're just like, screw it. And then they just
shoot the eggs.
Yeah, and they get infected, and then they just all die in glorious slow motion. You've got one guy just like as he falls off to the side, and then in the shot when you're looking back at all the corpses, he's there just blinking. I was like, come on, like editor, like edit a frame sooner, cut the blink.
This is where I got the idea, because obviously when you see the squibs explode, you know, and everything starts to come out, it's a hell of a big effect.
Yeah.
So like it would take ages to try to restart that effect all over again, and if you've got no budget, there's no way you've got backup. So if it's gonna go, let's put it in slow motion. But they come up with the information that 2 astronauts came from Mars like a month ago or something.
Whoa, movie, slow down. What? We went to Mars?
Yeah, supposedly these guys just flew up to Mars, did something up in Mars, and when they came back, Commander Iain Hubard, played by Iain McCulloch, who was in Zombie Flesh Eaters, I believe.
Yeah.
He was like, no, we can't go to Mars. There's a weird cave and weird eggs, and no, it's all horrible up there. Let's not go up there. And then his partner, Hamilton, played by Siegfried Roach, turned to everybody and went, no, don't listen to him. He's mad. Haha, don't worry, he's mad. And so they just shunned Hubbard and took Hamilton's word for it. And so now the lieutenant and fucking the colonel both go, maybe Hubbard was right. Maybe there are non-eggs from Mars coming to Earth. We need to go and find him and speak to him.
Oh, we can't because he's dead. Oh, no, the other one, the one that said that he was lying, is now dead.
That's it. Hamilton supposedly killed himself and is dead. And Hubbard...
he died in a plane crash in Florida or something?
Yeah, and Hubbard has kind of just locked himself away and is just a massive drunk now.
He's been shunned by everyone, fired for his delusions on Mars.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's not even like a local celebrity of like a man who went to Mars?
No, he's not. I kind of liked that when Stella and Hubbard kind of met up for the first time and she asks him to tell his story. You know, like Iain McCulloch is basically selling the fact that he had a life as an astronaut and now he's lost everything. And so then he talks about how they were on the frozen tundra of Mars.
Yeah, like, wait, what?
I'm like, as you see these 2 guys in astronaut suits on this completely white set, and I'm like...
I mean, it's like out of a 1950s sci-fi film.
We found a cave.
Yeah.
The cave looks like a fucking monster's mouth.
I loved that, actually. I was like, that's a giant maw that they're going into. I was like, okay, this is great. I mean, this is not Alien. This is not H.R. Geiger.
That's it. And he's like... And in this cave, there were thousands of these eggs just all over the place. And then there was this light, this white light. Whoa! And then they came to Earth and he was shunned.
It was the fact that while he's recalling this story, and then he's just like, Hamilton!
His eye. He was beginning. Hamilton was beginning to... Hamilton!
What the hell was that? Like, what did this acting, or is this... I mean, of course, the acting is pretty naff, but then the dubbing on top, it just makes it even worse.
And what makes it even worse on top of that is every now and again, Goblin will go, hey, we're still doing the soundtrack. Sorry to ruin the talking for you.
Hamilton! And so now they've decided, well, now we need to go to South America because this is where the ship came from.
Yeah,
this is where the coffee plant is, and maybe this is where the eggs are coming into America from.
Not eggs.
Whatever. This is where the giant coffee beans are coming from.
And they go all the way down there. Was it? Is it like middle of a parade or something that they come out and like the lieutenant is just like dancing with them and he's getting out. And I'm like, did you just film in the middle of a parade or did you organize this? It kind of just feels like you just intruded.
Yeah.
And we see them all go to their rooms, and the lieutenant is kind of finding the Colonel, Stella, you know, a little bit sexy. But Hubbard's like, no, we're guys. You've got to go to your room. I've got to go to mine. And she's going to go and have herself a shower. And we get introduced as well to a lady called Dela Cruz, who is living down in South America. And, shock spoiler, is working with Hamilton. Who's in charge of the coffee bean factory. And if you've not realised right by now, Hamilton is the one who's brought the fucking eggs back.
So he didn't die,
No.
and he was lying in the first place, and maybe he was mind controlled. But yeah, this is where a film's like, it's like almost like a James Bond villain.
Oh,
You know? And now this is perhaps the scariest, most intense sequence in the film. Be warned that while Stella is having a shower or in
Yeah.
the bathtub,
yeah.
somebody sneaks into her room. Doesn't kill her.
Nope.
No, that would be too easy.
That would be too easy.
Leaves an not egg in her room and leaves quietly.
Yeah.
What an assassin.
Locks the bathroom door from
Oh.
the outside so that we now have to sit for about a 5, almost 10-minute sequence of Stella trying to get out of the bathroom before the egg explodes. and she's banging on the door, but obviously the lieutenant can't hear her because he's playing his music really loud, you know, and Hubbard can't hear her because he's probably jacking off or something, you know, and so she's just so afraid that this egg, this oh,
that sound.
What the fucking sound, man. It's just going on. And what boggled my mind is that she's by the door and then she's looking down at the floor and the egg is down on the floor. And I'm like, right, so, you know, you could just use the shower to cover...
The shower curtain.
You could,
I'm
you
like,
know.
what about your dressing gown? I mean, I know you're preserving your modesty here, but just cover the egg in anything.
And it was literally just like, right, we've now got to make her a weak character so that these men can come and save her. And so Hubbard then comes out of his room and goes and gets the lieutenant, and they're going to go off and get some food because they don't want to disturb her. But the assassin made a fatal mistake. He left the sign for the maid on the door handle to say, do not disturb. Or I like the way it says, do not molest.
Yeah. No molesting.
No molesto! And so the two guys are walking for their meal and they see the sign on the door and Hubbard's like, I don't think she was planning on going to sleep. I'm going to go investigate. And as he goes up the door, he bangs on the door and Stella hears it from the other side. So she screams. So he kicks the door in. Then he rescues her from the bathroom just as the egg explodes.
What's wrong?
The egg.
This is not an egg, but an intensive culture of unknown bacteria.
The egg.
This is not an egg.
What happened to the egg?
This is not an egg.
Oh, that was close.
I know, it was so close I almost turned the fucking movie off.
Well, I give the film props. It woke me up because I was quite happily nodding off at this point in the film. I was like, I should be making notes, but
There's no way I can...
Get me out of here!
So they've decided that they're going to head to the coffee making factory to investigate, but only Stella and the lieutenant. Hubbard has decided to take a plane and do some reconnaissance from the air, but you never see an outside shot of the plane. You only see it from the cockpit. So I'm like, he never left the ground.
no.
He never left the ground.
We've just got some B-roll footage, you know, we'll just splice it into the film. It's fine.
So as Colonel Stella Holmes and the lieutenant are walking around the factory, they're playing out that they're going to be buying like a really large amount of coffee beans or something. But they get found out. And here's Hamilton with his gun. And he's like, haha, I'm going to stop you now. Because the movie has not even really given you a reason of why they're doing this thing with all the eggs. Supposedly, if you put enough of these eggs underneath a city and they all explode, they'll blow up the city.
Sure.
Yeah.
Imagine 100 of those eggs scattered in the New York sewers. It would blow up the city in one night.
This is not an egg.
That's it. There's no parasite in there. It's not turning anybody into zombies.
It's really an undercooked idea, isn't it? Like, they really did not think it through. And the problem with the film is it tonally is so unbalanced, where it started off pretty authentic, feeling pretty real, and then like Italian movies, it slipped into like the dreamscape.
Yeah.
Or it slipped into like hard sci-fi, but they didn't have the budget or the sets, and so, yeah, it just all starts to become a bit of a mess.
Maybe they didn't want the idea about the eggs to become scrambled.
Oh, no.
But Hubbard's plane develops a fault and he has to unexpectedly crash. Luckily, he's in the fields, which seem to be really close to the factory because the fields have eggs in. And you've got soldiers.
Yeah, they're like underneath trees and in the grass. I'm like, what? Are they planting them? Are they growing them?
You've got soldiers with guns or whatever picking up the eggs, and the eggs don't explode on them, and they're taken back to the factory. But luckily, Hubbard finds that one guy who's not very good at his job, who's hanging back, and everybody else has left him. And so Hubbard takes him out and steals his outfit so that he can infiltrate the coffee bean factory. The lieutenant, however, and the colonel have been taken by Hamilton to the Forbidden Room, and this is where we are introduced to the Cycloptopus.
The Cyclops!
Or the Octoplops, depending on how you want to pronounce that. It's a one-eyed octopus, right?
Yeah.
They call it a Cyclops, but it looks like a fucking octopus.
Yeah, it's a Cthulhu-esque kind of tentacle monster.
Dude, don't ruin Cthulhu by saying it's close to this. It's no.
But this thing ain't working right. All of the mechanisms and mechanics and puppetry work just all failed on the day. Like, none of it worked. And so the only thing that did work is that it could dribble.
Yeah.
On itself.
It's got like 3 mouths or something. Right. I couldn't tell what was a nose or a mouth.
And I'm like, is this thing laying the eggs? We don't see it lay an egg.
That's it.
Is that what the eggs mutate into?
Did Hamilton bring this thing back? I mean,
no, he did say he brought back something and then it became that.
Yeah. So the eggs that are on Mars are still on Mars, and he's brought this thing back and it's growing to make more eggs that they're then going to send to other cities to do what?
And make everybody explode.
Right. Because
that's bad. And the Cyclops is bad.
Cycloptopus.
Oh, the Cycloptopus is bad. And you know this because of the way it looks at you, unblinking.
So the Cycloptopus lays non-eggs, okay?
Yeah.
Right. And it hypnotizes Lieutenant Tony.
So is it mind controlling them then? Has it been mind controlling him from the moment he saw him on Mars, and which is why when he came back he was like, yay, and there was no eggs. He's mad.
Hubbard says that line later that he thinks Hamilton died on Mars, and the thing that came back wasn't really Hamilton. He thinks it was control. I don't know. They don't really explain it very well. But the Cycloptopus fucking hypnotizes the lieutenant for ages. And makes him walk really, really slowly towards it while Colonel Stella and Hamilton are just watching from afar. And then as Tony gets up close, and I really felt bad for Tony up to this point because we'd been following him from the start. He'd had a couple of cool one-liners between him and the Colonel and him and Hubbard, and he felt like a third hero at this point. But the movie's like, nah, sorry, we don't want him in there anymore. We need to get rid of at least one of the guys. And so the Cycloptopus wraps its tentacle around him badly, drags him in close. I believe it crushed him.
Yeah.
You know, because that's where the blood came out of his mouth.
Yeah, paralyzed him so he couldn't escape.
He falls on the floor, and then this long mouth thing comes out and just bites down on his fucking head and just swallows his body.
Like a snake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, as it cut away, I was like, it's going to cut back to just his shoes disappearing in. And when it did, I was like, yeah. That's how you do it. I was genuinely impressed with what they achieved with so little here.
Yeah.
Because, this was your grand monster. And, I mean, they did do well to keep it in the shadows and in the back of the room. But when you get the close-up of its eye, you're just like, oh, this is terrible now.
Terrible, yeah.
And as its tentacle arms, it's got no control, so it's just flopping.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no. But the effect of him disappearing into the tentacle mouth thing, I was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Hubard at this point has infiltrated the coffee bean factory. He comes across Dela Cruz and convinces her to take him to where everything's happening, the Forbidden Room. And he heads down there and he confronts Hamilton as Hamilton has sent Colonel Stella towards the monster. And this bit was fucking horrible because she walks really, really slow and she barely makes it to the monster until Hubard kind of rescues her. But like Dela Cruz, I think she got shot and killed.
Yeah.
So she's out of the picture. And then after fighting Hamilton for a bit and knocking him out of the way, Hubard grabs Stella before she can get eaten by the monster. And then he shoots the Cyclopticus in the eye with the flare gun that he'd rescued from the plane when his plane had crashed.
That's right, yeah.
It was a fucking horrible cut. Because he shoots it in the face and it immediately just cuts to the army turning up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we didn't even get a one-liner, or we did, we kind of start to see the creature start to burn, but that's only after Hamilton dies and has
another super slow-mo chest explosion death scene.
It's the worst one because it's just him
again as he slowly goes off frame. Ah!
Yeah.
It pretty much just ends there, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, you get the Colonel and Hubbard sitting down. They look up at what I believe is the night sky. It looked more like a black sheet with light dots put in.
Yes.
It didn't look like a sky.
I'm too afraid to look at the stars now because that's where those egg things came from.
Not eggs.
And then it cuts back to the city. And oh no!
There was one there outside the World Trade Center. I hope nothing bad happens there.
Anyway,
but before we finish, it was the line that Hubbard kind of says to the Colonel as they're looking up at the stars. That's when he's like, "Oh, I don't really believe Hamilton ever came back with me. I think he died up there, and we don't need to worry. We've defeated the creature. We're the heroes." But then you get that one last fucking egg thing.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa.
It's the sequel bait, like we need to go back to Mars because maybe he's still up there. And also, we've not contained it.
Contamination 2 or Contaminations?
Yeah, probably Contaminations now in the studio. Anyway, and what were your favourite scenes?
Not many. Literally, I think it's the exploding people. The three guys in the warehouse I thought were really funny. Just the fact, I was like, how are they going to end this sequence? And then the guy just shoots the egg and they all fucking explode. And I'm like, that'll do it. Like I said, it goes back to your idea. Were they hypnotized? Were they zombies? Or did they just not give a fuck? They were getting paid. They were like, oh, we don't want to go to jail. Blah, blah. And Hamilton's death.
Being eaten by the...
No.
Oh, him with his chest exploding.
Hamilton with his chest exploding. That's about it. That's about it. I mean, like Gary said, the Cyclopticus looked alright. It looked alright from afar. No.
Yeah, I don't really have any major favourite scenes in the film. I quite enjoyed the first 15 minutes. Right up until it kind of went to the lab and then the scientist was like, it's not an egg, but this is the yolk of the egg. And I was like, and that was when my brain started to go, I should probably stop paying attention now. But yeah, I enjoyed the atmosphere of them being on this ghost ship.
Yeah.
Seeing the corpses, like half-eaten meals, like what happened suddenly. Then finding these weird non-egg things down in the hold.
Wait, but it's like Jurassic Park 2 Lost World all over again. You're telling me that the crew were eating food and then went down and got eggs, or the eggs somehow got up and then exploded on them?
Why was one then hiding in the closet?
Exactly. Was there an egg in the closet with him?
Was somebody moving these eggs around?
Were the crew... Like, because we get told that the crew...
Were they in on it?
Contacted the harbour and said, yeah, everything's fine. Did they commit suicide so that the ship would ram?
Well, no, I think it was an accident where one of the boxes had come loose and one of the eggs had rolled near a hot pipe, which had then brought it to life or gave it the energy to burst.
Okay,
but that was the one that they find.
Yeah,
so
but the guy in the cupboard?
Ah, man, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, the guy's dying in the warehouse, the same as the guy's dying on the boat.
Yeah.
I did like the sequences on Mars. Because I honestly didn't think we would get any Mars photography in the film. So when we saw them in their spacesuits, I was like...
on the snowy tundras of Mars.
Yeah, and then the cave entrance, and then the one shot of the corridor going around the corner of the eggs. I'm like, this is Alien again, here we go.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fine. But it was the fact that he was like, yes, and they were green eggs, like in your photograph, which was black and white. The blinking dead guy in the warehouse. Come on. And then the one that you mentioned earlier where you've literally got the director and the producer and the camera in the shot as the camera is dollying backwards of the slow-mo picking up the egg. Like, come on.
Come on, who was editing? Nobody. We just threw the fucking bits together.
Yeah, I'm done. Iain, do you recommend Contamination?
To any actual people who like just watching film, I cannot recommend Contamination because it is fucking it was horrible. It was only, an hour and a half to sit through, but even then it dragged. The music was horrible. The acting sequences were horrible. The special effects weren't even that great. But saying that, if you like low budget, silly, dubbed Italian horror movies that are a rip-off of better movies, then you might really, really enjoy this. You might find some really great moments in it and go, oh yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Honestly, it's Alligator 2, then this.
Yeah, I'm not going to be recommending Contamination either. This was just only about watchable. And for the most part, boring. As nothing really exciting happens until the very end. It's a one-trick show. Human chests exploding in glorious slow motion over and over again. And while it's done with pretty good effects and heaps of splatter, it gets tiresome. And then the final alien is both hilariously bad and impressive at the same time. The acting is wooden, unconvincing, and the English dubs was terrible. The characters were never interesting or engrossing enough to carry all the exposition and are as lifeless as the Cyclops at the end.
Cycloptopus.
Oh, yeah. The music by Goblin usually elevates the film. It really stands out here as bad. It'll drive you crazy with how repetitive it becomes, and it's really annoying. So no, I'm not recommending this. Despite it having a few good moments, this film should remain in Contamination. You can feel them in your blood. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.